Hello and good morning to all joining us via Zoom and our Facebook live stream. Welcome to the Center for Enlightenment's exploration of the spiritual teachings, Jewels from Jane Elizabeth. Each Sunday will be a free-flowing adventure with teachings by Jane Elizabeth Hart, facilitated by certified Center for Enlightenment teachers. We will be working from the self-study lessons found on our website at cfenlightenment.org. Today we continue our study lesson titled Commitment. The topic is your commitment to your soul. Greg Barrett will be the facilitator for this video lesson. He is a certified teacher for the Center for Enlightenment. And Greg is a longtime student of Jane Hart, studying with her for over 30 years. Jane is the author of Spiritual Power Tools, Support for Your Soul, master teacher and founder of the Center for Enlightenment. Today's course will be live streamed via Facebook. A recording will be sent out with the weekly reflections so you can access it anytime. For those new to this format, your chat icon is located at the bottom of your screen. Just click to view. If you have any technical questions, please reach out to the host or co-host via the chat room. In addition to the Sunday courses, there will be a question and answer discussion on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. A link for these sessions will also be posted in the chat room. And if you're in need of prayer support, please contact us at cfenlightenment.org or just type centerforenlightenment.com. We are active on Facebook and Twitter. Come check us out, share your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. It would also be a great support to like the postings that resonate with you. We also invite you to visit our website at cfenlightenment.org. There you will find additional self-study lessons, talks, videos, or you can search for specific topics to support your expansion in consciousness. So just sit back, take a deep breath as we move into the silence, and let us begin today's journey with the prescription for spiritual alignment.
Good morning and welcome as we take our prescription for spiritual alignment together, making a commitment to our souls. We are aligned with the presence of God within. We are protected by God's love, wisdom, knowledge, and grace. The God consciousness within helps us discover more about who we are. Thank you, God, for the gift of spiritual intuition. Thank you, God, for aligning our conscious, subconscious, and superconscious minds. As we make our commitment to our soul, we give thanks. Amen. So that's it. That's what we're talking about, the commitment to your soul. And for those of us who are watching it live, it's January, it's the beginning of the year, and it's the time when many people make commitments to lose weight. The gyms and the health clubs are filled with people for at least a couple of weeks. We make commitments to changing our diets and make commitments to cut certain things out of our lives and add other things. But here, we're talking about a higher commitment to the soul. As we talked about last week, we're moving from the ego consciousness into the soul consciousness, from that limited consciousness that pulls us down with its gravitational pull of ego into that unlimited consciousness, which is the all that is. It's the entire universe of good. And that commitment that we make to the truth of our being, to our soul, moves us and drives us forward on our journey. Now, Jane has shared many times that the first step on the spiritual journey is to have a desire in your heart and then to make a commitment to it. This is how we participate in the evolution of our soul. And at this point in your growth, you have outgrown all those third dimensional desires. This third dimensional world just doesn't satisfy you anymore. And you're focusing your heart, you're focusing your consciousness on your soul's fourth dimensional realm of abundance, of intuition, of enlightenment, of spiritual awakening. And when you do that, it's important to make a commitment to it. Your soul has been evolving for so long, so many lifetimes, so many different forms of life. But this is really probably your first opportunity to consciously make a choice. Up until now, it's been done on automatic. Unconsciously, choicelessly, we have evolved and evolved and evolved using desires, aversions, different things have developed certain qualities, characteristics within us. We've accumulated a lot of karma and we've paid off a lot of karma. But now you are at that point in your soul evolution where you are ready to move inward. You are making the choice to move out of the third dimension and into the fourth dimension. And once your consciousness expands to include this fourth dimensional reality, you become totally aware of God, the awareness of God existing within you. This is really a moment of taking responsibility for yourself, taking responsibility for the progress of your soul. And when you do that, it opens up the door. Jane calls it the trap door. We're stuck in the third dimensional consciousness. We're stuck in the limited consciousness, but you open up the trap door and we can come out into freedom. She even led us once in a meditation where we were seeing ourselves in a box and observing that third dimensional ego consciousness as being stuck in a box, but we take the lid off and we come out into the unlimited space of the fourth dimensional consciousness. And once our soul becomes our primary focus in our life, our soul begins that progression, pushing us forward so that a new vibration and energy can move through us and into our lives. By making a commitment to your soul, you are making a decision that is going to reprioritize and reshuffle everything in your life. It's going to shuffle all the karma. It's going to shuffle all the things in your life plan. You may have come in with a certain life plan that you were going to fulfill. Maybe you fulfilled most of it. But when you make this commitment to your soul, it reshuffles things so that that old life plan is replaced with a new one, and it restructures everything in your world. So this commitment that we're talking about here can be stated in just a sentence. Now, this is your best understanding of what the commitment to the desire of your heart is. And I'm going to ask you to reflect on that. Jane, whenever there's a gathering of her students together for a retreat or at the beginning of the year, always challenges us to come up with a statement, a commitment statement, and to write it down and to sign it. So, what is yours? And if one doesn't come to mind, that's okay. Just let it percolate. And perhaps just choose one that seems to sound reasonable to you at this time, knowing that these commitment statements do change and they evolve over time. You know, one of the problems on the spiritual path is perfectionism. And one of the things that has kept me immobilized at times is that I just want to do the right thing. In this case, I just want to come up with a perfect commitment, and I want to make sure it's not to this and not to that, and that's just being in my head. Instead, what works much better for me, I found, was to simply make a commitment and let the words change and evolve and grow. It's a breathing, living, life filled experience. So your commitment is a living consciousness that you're establishing. It's a thought form in space and time, but it's more than just a mundane thought. It is a cosmic thought. It is shot through with spiritual energy that is coming in to empower it. And so it's much more powerful. And the beauty of it is that you can move with it. So come up with something that just kind of works for you. Maybe it's to know, love, and serve God, to wake up in my true self, to give and receive love. This year, my commitment is to be in the silence of my heart, to be in the silence of my heart. And that's what I'm emerging within my own soul. But for you, it's going to have other words. But the beauty of it is that every commitment that we make, if it's truly a soul commitment, a commitment to your soul, has value spiritually and is the same essential desire because everyone's heart desires ultimately the same thing. We just are on different journeys we're different personality types. Um, we're at different places, so we'll express it a little differently, and it may sound different, but it really is the same thing. Just as your soul and my soul at the deepest level are one and the same. So your commitment and my commitment and the commitments of everybody else who's watching this video are essentially the same. Now, when Jane has us come up with a commitment statement, and I'm going to ask you to think about this and to come up with one, and she has us write it down and to sign it, and then perhaps to come up with some action steps. You know, what am I going to do to be in the silence of my heart? How does that show up in my life? If I want to have that experience of being in the silence of my heart, what can I do day by day? You see, your commitment is where the rubber meets the road. It's where your desire of your heart gets into form and into action. And what are the action steps that you can take to fulfill your commitment? In my case, a certain commitment to a certain amount of meditation, certain times of meditation. One thing that I changed was I don't double task. That means I don't go around and do my laundry and put away my dishes and do things and brush my teeth listening to something else. I'm just in the silence. And if I want to watch something or do something for entertainment, I must sit down and focus on that one thing at a time. That's what works for me. And when I'm in my car, I turn off my radio or any kind of podcasts. And instead, I just drive in the silence. Sometimes I'll put on some very, very soft meditative music, but that's for me. For you, what are the steps that you can take and you can write down underneath your commitment statement that you've signed? You're going to do that and see what you can do with it. And so this is a powerful, powerful step you're taking. Whether you're watching this on YouTube and it's another month in January, or whether you're with us together on the live stream where we're watching it in early in the year so that we can make a commitment. Now, this is different. And Jane talks about this in her video we're going to watch at the end. She talks about New Year's resolutions, but then she replaces them with a spiritual resolution, which is a commitment. So this is different than our usual New Year's resolutions, or even different than New Year's goals. I used to keep volumes and volumes of goals. Oh my gosh, I kept all my goals from former years, and I uh, in different categories, and I suppose in the consciousness I was in at the time, which is a consciousness where I would use my spirituality in the furtherance of my third dimensional desires and goals. That was helpful, but I outgrew it. I remember one time when it was on New Year's morning, and I was sitting in a fast food restaurant, and had all my goals and sheets and things out. I mean, my journals, and a woman at the next table said, "Oh, you go to college? What college do you go to?" And I was in my late 20s. I said, "No, I haven't been to college in years." She said, "Well, what's that? You're not doing homework?" I said, "No, these are my goals. These are all my goals." Goals? What do you mean? What are you doing? And I couldn't get her to understand. So I said, New Year's resolutions. And she looked at my stack and she goes, "Wow, you must have really been bad." Well, whether you're doing New Year's resolutions or New Year's goals, there's another higher step, which is to let go of all those things. Oh, it's fine to make these commitments, but to move it up to a higher level and to seek first the kingdom, to desire the great desire, the desire of your heart, and to put that into a commitment statement that then can fuel your growth and feed all the lesser things that you do, including the action steps that you're going to write down. I invite you to do this, not just use this time of being online as an exercise in entertainment or something that soothes or calms you or makes you feel good. There's some work that you could do. There is something you can do with this time, whether it's January or October, that you can set into motion that commitment to the desire of your heart, that commitment to your soul that brings about great changes in your life. So if you're prepared to make a commitment, write it down. Ask yourself, am I ready to commit to my soul, to the truth of my being? And realize that by committing to the best interest of your soul, you're making a powerful request to the universe that resonates in your soul, within your subconscious, and throughout the universe. And you can trust that you are going to get the support that you need to support you on the journey. There's always a response. When you call forth, when you ask for help, when you do something like we're doing today, you get a powerful response. Now, most of the time, I noticed that I didn't always recognize it. And then maybe in retrospect, I'd go, oh, yeah, I got some help here. One of the things that happens when you set a commitment like this is that you find that you tend to veer off of it. For me, I feel like I'm walking along the balance beam and I'm doing real well. And then I find myself going like this. And so recommitting and coming back to that commitment, keeping that commitment statement out where I can see it next to my meditation chair, and maybe meditating on it and or bringing it out at the beginning of my meditation time can help. We must recommit as many times as we need to stay on the balance beam. We have to give ourselves encouragement through using our commitment as an affirmative statement that moves us forward and helps us to keep going. The support that we're looking for on our journey will only come through for us if we support ourselves and recognize that we are not left all alone. We can ask for that wise part of ourselves, that courageous part of ourselves to come forward and help us. Now, there's something that comes up in the face of commitment, and that is resistance. Every step in growth and change in anyone's life, and this is throughout philosophy, going back 2,500 years to Heraclitus and the Greek philosophers, the idea is that if you move forward, there's always a resistance that pushes back. It's found in every kind of philosophy. It's even found in the Communist Manifesto. This is throughout Western philosophical thought that if you move forward, well, we say it in our culture, don't we? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We all realize that it's not a linear journey. It's not just forward, forward, march. We move forward, then we move back, and then we integrate what we're trying to do, and then we move forward, and then we have the resistance, and then we integrate. So those are really 3 steps. The first step is the desire of our heart, the commitment. The second step is the resistance that comes up. That's the second force. And the third step, the third force, is the integrating of it in a daily spiritual process. You know, we never really reach our destination, not as long as we're in incarnation in a lifetime. We're always changing and moving. Even if you get what it is you want, it changes, you change. We're constantly in a experience of renewal. So even that third step of integrating it and making it a part of your life is just a preparation for taking these steps again. So your commitment to the desire of your heart, to your soul, is your step forward, your first force. And then the resistance comes up, which is your second force. Whenever you make a commitment to change in your life, old habits rear up, come up from your subconscious mind so that you can overcome them. You can't change what you can't see. In the analogy of the iceberg that Jane uses often, these are the chunks of ice that come from underneath the surface of the iceberg to melt in the sunlight of our divinity. And so when these awarenesses come up in order to be released, the activity that of our setting into motion, our commitment, shakes out all the unworkable, unusable thoughts and all those patterns that are not supporting us. Commitment is necessary because nothing can be accomplished, but we have to be willing to go through the process. Right now, just check in where you are today. with that commitment to the truth of who you are? How committed are you to your spiritual growth, to your soul rather than your ego? In the video we're going to watch, Jane's going to talk about New Year's resolutions and about moving forward. And also, she talks about the resistance that comes up. But what she's talking about in this video is using your will to back up your desire. Your commitment is an act of will, it's also an act of love. It's loving yourself enough, caring about yourself enough to do something to change your life. So, this is your commitment. And these are the steps that you are taking to move your spirituality forward. This is your journey. And ultimately, it's a journey from your head to your heart, from your intellect to your intuition, from your ego to your soul. And you have to have a strong enough commitment, a strong enough will behind your commitment to overcome the gravitational pull, enough thrust, as I shared in the analogy a week ago, to move you up and out of the limitation of your lower self. So, this is the resistance that we're overcoming with our commitment. That's why we've got to make the commitment. It is the drive to fulfill that desire of your heart. It is truly what's truly in our heart. What do you want is the question that the universe is asking you right now. What do you want? That's the first desire. And then what's in the way? And that's that second force, that resistance that comes up. What's in the way of my desire? Everything unlike your desire of your heart will come up to be released. That's just the way it works. And then the third question is, what are you going to do about it? This is another way of expressing that first and second and third force. What do you want? What's in the way? What's the resistance? And then what are you doing about it? How are you exercising your practices day by day to get you out of the inertia that wants to keep you stuck? Jane says in this video something I want to quote right now. She says, I am here to inspire you to do some things to support your New Year's resolution to your soul. And I'm adding to your soul because she goes on to explain this isn't some mundane New Year's resolution. We all want to change. But the question is, what are we going to do in the face of the resistance that's there? What specific actions can we take to set into motion the changes that we desire in our heart? This means we stand up to that part of ourselves that says, oh, I've made a mistake and I failed. You know, the first thing that many of our egos do when we stumble, when we get off the balance beam, is we just give up. We think, oh, it's too hard. I've already made a mistake. So, I've already eaten a piece of cake, so I might as well eat the whole cake. How often have you done that? That's that perfectionist in you. Perfectionism is the number one enemy of the spiritual student. If you're on the spiritual path, the last thing you need to be saying to yourself is, did I do it perfectly? Oh, I didn't do it perfectly. Oh, woe is me. Perfectionism doesn't even exist in the fourth dimensional reality. And that kind of ego idea of what's perfect doesn't exist on the third dimension either. You've never gotten all your ducks in a row. That's not what ducks are for. They don't get in a row. You will never have everything just so. And you've got to make a stand for your soul. You've got to stand up to that part of you that makes excuses, that wants to give up, that doesn't think it's good enough, that's discouraged or complacent, or just wants to put the covers over its head or turn on Netflix and veg out. It is so important for us to be in a consciousness of commitment and not allow discouragement to take hold. And your role in this is to support your movement in its growth. This is called becoming your own best friend. And Jane talks about this. She says, well, you got to be your own best friend. You got to have a friend here. And she suggests that to be your best friend, you should take the commitment statement. She calls them affirmations, but this is the statement that commits to the truth of your being and move with it. Write it down, look at it, meditate on it. Everything starts from right here. Everything starts from the commitment in your heart. By exercising your commitment, you are expressing the confidence, the love for yourself, and the tenacity that overcomes. That is another expression of your love. This positivity is not a fake kind of positive thinking. It's not fake it till you make it. It's a real love for yourself that moves and grows and allows for the stumbling and the veering off, but realizes and recognizes that that's a natural part of your process. You are going to have resistance. You don't wallow in it, you don't affirm it, but you recognize it and you accept the fact of it and move and grow and dance with it and allow yourself to move forward, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So the question I have for you right now is, what are you doing each day to demonstrate the love you have for the truth of you, for the soul of you, for your heart? Do you start your day off? How do you start your day off? When you first get out of bed, do you start just, I don't know. I used to start by, first thing I would do is check my phone. Now, the first thing I do is commit to my observer self. Your observer self, we've talked about this before. Your observer self is that part of you that you carry with you, that is you truly your soul consciousness through all of the ups and downs of your days, that notices when your buttons get pushed, that encourages you when you're moving through different experiences in your life. And your observer self is, in a sense, your higher self. By packing your observer self with you when you first get up in the morning, putting it in your backpack of your soul, you are strengthening your connection with the truth of your being. You're identifying yourself with that higher self. And every day you're going to hear bad news from the world, the conditions of the world, how terrible everything is. But how strong your commitment is will help you to navigate these times that sometimes are troubling. Recognize that every event and every time you get your buttons pushed by things you see on the news, it is an opportunity to take a look within with your observer self and see. This may not be something you can relate to, but I found that I was able to use the bad news, so called, that I might see with my observer self because I could see that it really was reflecting a part of myself that needed love and forgiveness. That part of me that was the authoritarian in a past life, or that part of me that was the religious dogmatic, the one who was rigid uh, in a former life. You have done all the things that you have a hard time with that you see out in the outer world. And you were maybe farther along in your evolution than some of these characters that you hear about, but you also carry the thoughts of and the feelings of those old consciousnesses with you. And so as you navigate your way through a difficult world, you recognize that there is something greater in you and you can forgive those parts of yourself that are being reflected to you in the mirror of the everyday current events. As I began to forgive myself for these past life transgressions, and you don't have to know what they are, just know that that's why the button pushing gives you a sense of unity and a unease feeling. Next time you get your buttons pushed, each time, step back and observe yourself and ask yourself the question, what could be in me that is reacting to this situation? That doesn't mean you have to agree with or doesn't mean you don't take action in the world, but this is called taking charge of your own consciousness so that you can be more effective in the world. This is called taking charge of your own consciousness. Live and let live, knowing that there are things that are not yours to change in the outer world and having the wisdom to know the difference between what's yours to do and what's not yours to do. And the first step is to notice. And then you can change your thoughts. And then finally, you can change your actions. And it simplifies your life because you don't run after mentally or physically all the things that, all the bunny trails that you can go after in order to basically entertain your ego with being upset in the drama of the world. Using your observer self to strengthen your commitment gets you out of that automatic pilot that reacts to things unthinkingly. Um, I was just thinking about, I saw on a news program where a major city had tried driverless cars, driverless cabs. And after a few people got run over, they decided, no, you got to have a driver in the car. Now, I'm not saying the technology won't get there, but right now it's not quite there. And if your personality self is like a driverless car, you just put it on automatic pilot, and you're unconscious, not in your observer self during the day, you get yourself into some accidents, some problems. But if you are at the wheel taking responsibility for your soul, you then are able to avoid some of these things. Begin to understand that you can see what is really going on with your observer self, that you can change your thoughts. And through changing your thoughts, you change your actions. This is true in terms of your spiritual intentions. It's true in terms of your everyday life as well. But today we're talking about the higher commitment, the higher desire for spiritual growth, to awaken in your God self. And this means committing to work on ourselves first. Before we do anything in the outer world, we work on ourselves. So if there's someone in your life that you're upset about or worried about, they are not your primary concern. In fact, they are not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to love them enough and to love yourself enough that you do your own inner work and you come from your heart, and your heart will tell you. Your heart will not let you know how to serve spiritually anyone who's in your life. And you might be surprised when you're told, nope, hands off. And you might be surprised at the things you are directed to do. This means letting go of our control of other people. And this is a challenge for me because I think I know better. And I'm just ready to tell them. And I just don't understand why they don't appreciate it or even push back on me. Well, it's because it's not my job. It's not my business to rule over the entire world and control what everybody else does. Your commitment to powerful change is making powerful results in your life to the extent that you are focusing on your own spiritual desires and commitment. And one of the things that greases the wheels of this process that helps you move forward more smoothly is a sense of humor about yourself. Just being able to realize that the personality ego self is funny. It really is something that you can laugh at from time to time. Life and the journey of life is too important to take too seriously. And so, one of the ways to take charge of your own consciousness is to lighten up and to laugh at yourself and to know that you are not here to do everything perfectly, that you're not gonna, in fact, that's funny. The idea that you're not gonna ever make a mistake or that you should beat yourself up with a hammer, that actually, if you step back far enough from it, can be funny. The right outcome will always come forward if you remain in your heart and true to the commitment to your soul. Realize that you can let go, and by letting go, you'll move into the very best outcomes available to your soul. So, this is about putting your soul first. This is about expressing your soul through your commitment to the desire of your heart. So let's take a moment and watch this very brief video and see how Jane talks about. She starts off talking about New Year's resolutions, but she moves it into a much higher understanding. Her concepts here are very simple because she was being interviewed on a television program, but they are very pertinent and apt for what we're working on here today. So let's watch this together.
Well, you know, I find that we've already gotten partially into the new year. So when we get partially into the new year, we're already weaning a little bit on our New Year's resolutions.
Oh.
So I'm here to inspire you to do some things to support your New Year's resolutions. We all want to change. We
Yeah.
all want to be all that we are meant to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for us to be thinking correctly and not get discouraged about as the year unfolds, but being supportive of that. And I think affirmations and being your best friend.
Yes.
I think it's so important that we become our best friends within ourselves.
Of course, we were talking to Zora about that. We're not in an easy time to be your best friend.
And yet
in
it's
Michigan.
very important to be your best friend
Yes.
within yourself, because that's where everything starts. Everything starts from within,
Yeah.
and the way we think and the way we express ourselves in the world. And if our thoughts are negative, then we end up bringing forth negative experiences, as you so well know. And when our thoughts are in a positive way, we automatically create a new possibility. I open every day with, today's an adventure. What's going to happen? I never know. But here I am, so
Yeah.
this is part of my adventure today.
That's
and
right.
this is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. It's
So,
been good so far.
Yes, it's been good so far.
You know, I think there's that saying, like attracts like. And we're hearing from so many people in your spiritual world that we need to keep this positive attitude even in, we may be in not the easiest circumstances. How do you come to that? How do you do that?
Well, I have learned one thing that's been very important to me, and it's helped a lot of people that I've shared this with, is to become an observer of yourself. I found out that I was an automatic person. I automatically did things without thinking. And when I decided to change my life and change my outcomes in my life, I had to step back and start to observe myself and take charge of my things I was observing.
Yes.
And not be so quick to act. And some of my behavior just was not working in my best interest.
Yes.
But I was automatically doing things without thinking. And when I started observing myself, I started to begin to understand that I could change my actions maybe the next time and not go automatically into just the little thing about being on a diet or exercising or doing better with your finances. You automatically may run to the ice cream store without even thinking about, oh, I'm on a diet. You just do it.
Yeah.
And when I started to see how often I did things that weren't in my interest, I decided I'd better get on the ball and step back and work on me.
Yeah.
It starts from here.
Yes.
Our thoughts are so powerful. And powerful thoughts bring forth powerful results. So being powerful in your thinking. And I guess one thing I think is to look at your thoughts and change the way you think about yourself and not be discouraged. If you make a mistake, hey. And one of my biggest things is laugh at myself. Because I'm the funniest person in the world. I do some of the funniest things.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
You made me think of, you know, Plato gave the example of the self is like the chariot, and the senses are like the 5 horses, and the reins are like the intellect, and the reins are the mind, and the driver of the chariot is the intellect, and the passenger is the soul.
Oh.
So a lot of us, you know, the senses and the mind are out of control, being dragged all over the place.
What a great, I love that.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
you're
so
saying
true.
take control.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And take those senses and mind where you want to go.
Yes. And be in charge of it.
Yeah.
Which is the answer to so many of our problems if we're in charge of it and we act from the right place in our heart and our mind, then the right outcome will come forth for us.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, just look at yourself and say, okay, what can I do to change it?
Yeah. Because we've talked before, you see the self as being not just some material being, right?
No.
You're seeing,
yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, you're seeing the self as being a divine soul.
That's right.
Yeah. And a divine soul needs a divine life.
That's right. Yeah, we're only 1/10 conscious and 9/10 subconscious. What's
Wow.
the other subconscious doing?
Wow.
How is it driving me? And when you become the observer, you start to see what the subconscious is driving you to do that you really don't want to do.
Yeah.
So taking charge makes a total difference on, as I mentioned, the outcomes.
Now, those were simple but powerful instructions on taking charge, taking responsibility for your soul. And your commitment is the expression of your desire to focus on your soul rather than your ego. And in a sense, your commitment provides direction for your life. In the old days, before there were different GPS systems or even systems of advanced navigation, they used the North Star to navigate. They had something that they could focus on that allowed them to stay on course. And your commitment is that North Star within you that keeps you on course. And without a strong commitment, you get off course. And because you get off course, nothing can be accomplished. So you've got to stay on your course. And it's important to strengthen your commitment repeatedly whenever it wavers by recommitting, by coming back to it, by being aware of it and reminding yourself of it every day. And to that end, we're going to take just a moment in meditation, and we're going to take that commitment that I hope that you have come up with. And if you haven't, just take to love myself in God. Maybe that's a good one. But take a statement of commitment and just say to the truth of your being, to your inner self, I commit, I make my commitment to my soul, expressing as my best understanding of the desire of my heart. I let go of the limitation, that negative gravitational pull of my ego. And I make my commitment strong enough in the face of any subconscious resistance to overcome every challenge. I make a decision here and now to write down my commitment and the action steps that I'm willing to take every day to back it up. I am committed to the truth of my being. I am committed to my soul. And now, as we come back to the presence of the rooms we're in, we just take a breath and feel ourselves lighter as we're ready to commit to the truth of our being, as we're ready to move past and through anything that's in the way. And we know that when our commitment wavers, we can ask for help. We can say, give me some help here. I need some help. And it will always come forth. And when that perfectionist wants to keep you stuck, just laugh at it. Well, we went to support you on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time when we have our question and answer support group. And this is where like minded souls get together and we support each other on this journey. Also, we've got a link in the chat room and also on the website to help you find that Thursday night group and also to support the Center for Enlightenment with your donations. So until Thursday night or until next Sunday, bye for now.